Okay, so my name is Magda, and yes. So the guys initially asked me to talk to you about how to persuade others, how to market your idea, but in an ethical way. So I don't like calling it ethical persuasion, because I don't think there is such a thing as unethical persuasion. I like to call it a win-win persuasion. So what I'll be talking to you guys today, and what we'll work on, is how you can convince others to your idea, but in a way that everybody benefits, which to me, honestly, that's the only way you want to persuade anybody. And we'll go through 9 steps of how you can do it in the most efficient way. I can tell you one thing, there are more than 9 steps for it, but we'll just cover the main ideas that you can implement right away. So the first thing, I wanted to cover a little bit the idea of persuasion, because I think if you say, persuasion per se, you immediately have a very negative idea of what you're doing, right? Like if I tell you, oh, I'm trying to persuade, you'll be like, no, don't do it. I'm smart, I can think on my own. Like, why are you trying to persuade me? Do you think like I'm a kid or something? So there's a very, very negative idea of what persuasion is, right? I mean, we've been talking about it for many years, saying that, oh, selling is bad, persuading is bad, propaganda is bad. But if you think about it, it's really just people using certain tools to certain ideas, to promote certain ideas which maybe are not just the best for the people, right? But persuasion per se is not bad. And if you have a new idea, if you have business or an idea that you want to turn into business, the first thing you need to do is really overcome this, what to me is a limiting belief. Because as long as you think that persuading is bad, you're not really going to get far. Because think about it, right? Whatever business you have, whatever idea you have to persuade somebody, right? You have to persuade somebody that your idea is good, right? You might need to persuade your girlfriend or boyfriend that this is a good idea so they can support you, right? You need to persuade your visitors to sign up on your page. You need to persuade your target, your subscribers at this point, into buying your product. So I will say persuasion, but let's try to get away from this negative connotation that it has, okay? Persuasion really is about getting on board somebody and agreeing with you. So, okay. Yes, so as I was saying, I want to talk to you about the win-win persuasion, which means that everybody who's involved in the communication benefits, right? So what does it mean? Well, let's say I can convince somebody to do something. I can use whatever tools that I want for that, but what do I get from it if they say yes, but let's say 10 minutes after, they start thinking like, shoot, why did I do it, right? And they start regretting their decision. Because what you just did, if you force somebody a bit too much, if you push them a little bit too much to agree with you, what happens is that you actually lose them forever, because they will avoid you later. Because if you convince somebody to do something that they don't want to do, they will feel so ashamed about it, like themselves. They will feel like, I wasn't strong enough, I wasn't smart enough to stand up, and they will avoid you. So you lost this person forever. So what you want to do, you want to talk to people in a way that they can benefit, and make sure that you explain the benefits to people so they're very aware of it. Because if then you get a yes from them, you don't only get a yes, but you get a very strong, long-lasting relationship. And that's what you really need for your business or for whatever it is that you do in your life. So, okay, as I said, also, people have this connotation that, oh, I can persuade you to do whatever that I want. Well, this is not true. I mean, the only way I can actually force you to do something that you really don't want is to put a gun to your head, but I don't think that's how we want to do business. The thing is that, persuasion is based on understanding human nature, right? So if I want to convince somebody to join me in my business and help me, I need to understand what is it that you want in your life, what is it that you desire, or what is it that you need. If I cannot get connection to any of these 3 points, it doesn't matter what I do, you're just not going to listen to me. There's no chance of a win-win situation. There's no chance of a win-lose situation either. It's just a lose-lose. So remember, if you see that there's nothing that links you to this person, you have 2 choices. Either find this link or just let go and move on. Okay? So remember, the base of everything that you do is understanding the other person, right? Well, as we said before, right? If I want to sell my products, then I need to convince people to take a certain action, right? The action is buying the product. So in my persuasion, my actual objective, my main goal is to trigger a certain action, right? So if you want to do it, if you want to consciously design this process, you need to know what would naturally trigger that behavior. So that's what persuasion is about. It's about understanding how to trigger what you want to happen. This is really, okay. So based on this, you might be thinking that, okay, this is not that easy, because if we're meant to understand what is it that everybody wants and they need and they desire, it's very difficult to understand. I mean, you've known probably from your own experience and observing other people that the last thing that humans do is behave rationally, right? How many times you had a conversation and you're giving all the logical reasons for why the other person should do something or they shouldn't, and they're still stuck, they're still convinced that their way is the best. They behave in a way that you just really try, but there's no way you can understand it, right? So the thing here is that, the second thing I want you guys to understand here is that me talking to you guys and you listening to me, all of this is happening on the conscious level. But your conscious brain is about only 10% of your full brain. Really, the magic happens on the subconscious level. So if you go down, right, and if you try to understand why we do what we do from the subconscious level, suddenly human beings do become rational. And for us business people and marketers, one of the most important things to remember is that we buy out of emotions, okay? So again, it's not your consciousness that tells you, oh yes, jump on this business because it's a good opportunity, right? Or yes, buy this product because it's gonna help you. The truth is, we do all of it because we feel certain emotions, right? Like sometimes, when you hear about the idea and you're like, that just feels right, that feels exciting. And this is why you decide to do it. But we still need the logic. I mean, we use logic to explain our behavior, but that's not the reason why you do something. So again, for you guys, right, if you talk to anybody about your business idea, you don't necessarily need to give them logical reasons. Don't talk to their consciousness, but talk to the emotions. Talk to the whole big part of their brain, which is called subconscious. Okay, so I want to tell you one thing here, right? We are very selfish. The truth is that, it doesn't matter what idea you have, and how good this idea might be for everybody else, it needs to be good for you, right? If I want to convince you to join me, you need to see the value. It has to be about you. And that's kind of the thing. I mean, yeah, we are selfish, but there's nothing bad about it because it allows us to survive. But if I asked you what is the single most important thing for you, what would you tell me? Cash, okay. Anybody else? What's most important for you? The one most important thing in the world for you? Money as well. Guys, you're all about money. I was hoping to hear like family or love. Well, in any case, none of those answers are true because really the one most important thing for everybody is ourselves. For you, the most important thing is you. The same for you, right? So again, if you want to talk to anybody, talk about them. As long as you talk about yourself, they're not going to listen to you because they don't care. I mean, we like to say that, yes, of course, I care about other people and I care about helping you. But the truth is, I'm only listening when you're talking about myself, right? So if you want to sell your idea, talk to those people and let them talk about themselves, Really, the best way to persuade people is by listening, is by not saying anything. And the other person will talk themselves into agreeing with you. So we know already what is the most important thing to every one of us. But there's one more thing that I want you guys to know. And this is the one thing that every one of us craves the most. And this is being important. So again, no matter what you do, and this is business, but this is also your personal life. Whenever you talk to somebody, your main objective should be to make that person feel important, to make them feel appreciated, to make them feel that they matter. Okay? If you achieve this, you can convince other people to do whatever you want. But if you fail to do it, doesn't matter what offer you have, you're not going to go anywhere. So the 9 tips that I will be sharing with you are the tips that will help you make the other person feel important. Why is it so crucial? It's because they will start listening to you, okay? If, for example, somebody comes to me and gives me a compliment or tells me, oh my God, you're so great at doing it. Doesn't matter what I was doing till now. It doesn't matter what priorities I had. Well, I'm going to listen to you. What else do you have to tell me, So make people feel that they are important and they open up to you. When it comes to persuasion, one of the most difficult, let's say one of the biggest challenges that we have is that the second the person realizes that you want to convince them to something, they'll be like, no way, there's a big wall in front of me and it doesn't matter what you say, it doesn't matter how much I would normally like it, I'll be against you because you're trying to convince me. But be open, be tolerant, be respectful, be appreciative, and here I am fully open, vulnerable to your ideas. And that's the state you want to have. That's the state that creates trust, builds relationship. And as you guys know, this is the base for friendship. And from your experience, right, it's a very different thing doing favors for your friends, right, and doing favors for somebody you don't know. If you have this relationship, then you have, let's say 90% of your job is done. So making the other person feel important is this. It's about creating this special relationship with the other person that later opens the base, right, for talking business and getting what you want. So the first technique that you can use that allow them to feel important is to use authority. Now, why is it? Okay, so do we have any sports fans? Anybody who follows any sport? Girls, seriously, nothing? Okay, well, I'm not a big fan, to be honest, either, but I do follow some football, and definitely like, European Championship and World Cup. So, I'm Polish, right? The Polish team isn't the best in the world, I have to be honest. But the few times we actually, won a few games. So what happens when a team wins, right? What is it the thing that you say? Hoo-hoo, we won, right? What about the team that loses? They lost, right? So we either associate ourselves with the winners, or we create a distance to the losers. Why? Because in a way, by association, we become the same person. So it's the same with the authority, right? People want to be associated with important people. They want to be associated with experts. They want to be associated with celebrities. That's what you're doing here. And you can do it in two ways. So the first one, you can actually take an authority, external authority, or a celebrity. So you can use celebrity endorsement. Or you can become this kind of celebrity or authority yourself. And it's actually easier than you guys might think. In a way, you can fake your authority, and you can do it in a few things. So the first tool that you can use for yourself to present yourself more as authority is by how you dress. So all the uniforms, right? When you look, you see somebody in the uniform, they're authority. The suit, and the suit is actually a very universal symbol of authority. It doesn't matter which country and which culture you're in. So that's good to know, because then, if you don't really know how to present yourself, just wear a suit. It's also accessories, what shoes you have, what watch you have, what car do you drive. And there's a very interesting study. They wanted to see how people are going to behave, how fast you're going to get super angry when you drive your car, and a car in front of you, when the lights turn green, when the car in front of you just doesn't start going, right? It's there standing, and you're like, move, right? Let's drive, it's green. So they checked, how people reacted if the car in front of them was just some old car. And at that time, it took like a few seconds for people to be really angry and start shouting in their car, like yelling, come on, drive, move, right? But if the car in front of them was BMW, it took them about like 3 minutes before they got to the state. So the only difference is that, okay, I have a car in front of me that means that somebody in front of me is important. So I give them some time when I respect them only because they are authority. And all of that comes from the car that they drive. So you can use a lot of different gadgets, right? Like if you go for a meeting, you can have a suit, you can have a suitcase, like a nice business card holder, and all of that works. And the last thing is also the titles. So if you're a doctor, if you're a PhD, put it in front of your name. Like me, for example, right? If you get emails from me, if you see my business cards, it says a founder of Psychology for Marketers. It says a trainer. It says a coach. Well, that's who I am, but I underline it because it adds to my authority. Now, the second one is showing appreciation. And this is like so simple, right? But we don't really do it. To all the men in the room, okay? Who has bought flowers in the last month? Either for your girlfriend, your mom. We have 2 men. Have you? Awesome, awesome. Now the rest of the guys, be honest with me. Which one of you cannot afford to buy a flower? It's about very simple gestures that don't cost us anything. All it costs us is to remember to do it. But people love being appreciated. Ladies in the room, who would like to get a flower for no reason? You don't like flowers? Really? Okay, maybe chocolates here. But it really doesn't cost you anything, but the small things that, in a way, I tell you, you're important to me. I remember about you. I think you're awesome, and I think you should be appreciated. If you do it to somebody, again, they start listening to you. It's like, oh, it's about me. You like me. Okay, what do you want from me? I'll do whatever you want. The third one is about benefits. So this is like a cliche, right? Again, don't talk about the features of your product. Talk about the benefits and the benefits that the other person is getting. So I don't really want to get into something that's very obvious, but I wanted to give you this one example that I literally love, and I tell it to everybody that I meet and I talk about marketing. There's a question for you guys. How would you sell a fridge to an Eskimo? Come on, give me some ideas. You can go as crazy as you want.
To warm your food.
Exactly. Can you guys, do you see how funny it is, right? Because the way we are used to selling fridge is that, okay, the feature of the fridge is that, it's cold, right? Inside of the fridge is cold. So the benefit from this is that your food is gonna be cold, so, it will last longer. For Eskimos, that has no value, that has no benefit. So you really need to change your perception of your product dramatically to be able to fit their needs. So remember, when it comes to benefits, again, you really have to get out of your skin. Talk to people who have never seen your product and check with them what would be the benefit. Because if you work on your product, you're so caught up in the features that you created that you really forget about the actual benefit. But this is crucial. If you don't talk about benefits that this person is getting, again, they will not listen to you, okay? Number 4, okay, underline their freedom to choose. So in our age, right, one of the huge and very strong values that we have is our freedom. And even if you, check the news, you see how much people will do to protect it, right? People fight, people kill other people to protect their right to be free, okay? So as I said before, one of the biggest challenges of persuasion is that if somebody realizes you're trying to persuade them, they close down, and there's very little you can do at that time. So whatever you do, you want to make sure that they feel free and that they don't feel like in a cage, right? And there's a very simple technique that you can use to assure that this is happening. And this technique is the one sentence that you just add to your pitch. And the sentence is, of course, you're free to choose. That's it. Now, some people say that, oh, no, I don't want to say that because, when you study the art of selling, it's about getting the other person to always say yes, right? If I tell them you're free to choose, I imply that you can say no. So, no, I don't want to use it in my pitch. But they've done research on that. And if you add this one sentence, you're free to choose, you're actually getting the answer yes much more often than if you don't add it. And you can modify it. It's like, of course, you're free to choose, or you can decide what you want to do on your own. So you can modify the phrase, but the concept is this: you're free to choose. Remind them that you're not limiting their freedom. That's all. Okay, then use people's names, right? Do you guys know that your name is the word that you like the most? So you know that we like what we're familiar with, right? And out of all the words that each one of you heard in your lives, the single word that you've heard most often is your name. And this is why you like it the most. Like sound has vibration, right? So your body is so used to getting the vibration of your name, it recognizes it so easily. It simply likes it. Another thing is also that when you use somebody's name, you're activating so-called old brain, which is focused on your survival. So if you use a person's name, you activate really the whole 100% of a person's brain, which is good for you, right? Another thing why you want to use the name is because you're showing to the other person that you're important enough for me to remember your name. How do you feel in a conversation like when you meet somebody and then you see them again and they still don't know what your name is? You feel like, oh, okay, I guess they don't care about me, right? So a simple thing like remembering the name and using the name will help you already, get where you want. And if you're into email marketing, you guys know that you can use a special fields when you say, when you send emails to all of your sublist, right? But you can use the field which says, hi, first name, and then, it pulls in the name from your database. So all of those little tricks, they help you to have a more personal relationship with the people that you talk to. So as I said, it's our favorite word. It shows respect and appreciation, and it makes it all about them. Now, tips number 6 is to use scarcity. I don't know if you guys read the book Influenced by Cialdini. If you haven't, I strongly recommend because it's kind of like summary of all the psychology knowledge for marketers. But there is another reason why you want to use scarcity, and this is the concept of the lucky few. So, for example, if you think about gold, right? Why is gold so desired? Why people want gold so much? Why does it cost so much? Well, not because it's pretty. Like, what does make gold prettier than yellow? Nothing. But gold is limited. So you know that only few people will be able to get it. Now, if I am one of these lucky people, then exactly, I am the lucky few. And that makes me feel important. So if you limit your offer, and you can limit it either in the quantity or the time when you can get the offer, if you limit it, but then you will allow this person to get on the offer and get it, you will make them feel very important because they'll feel like, oh wow, other people, like the majority of people, they didn't get a chance to do it, but I did. I'm awesome, I'm smart, I matter, whatever they want to, whatever good things they want to talk about themselves, but that's how they will feel. So this is another aspect of why you want to use the scarcity, is because if you allow people into the group, you're kind of creating a limited, awesome group that everybody wants to be a part of, right? And then you let this person feel in, like get in, and they will be so appreciative, it also triggers reciprocity, right? So it makes them be more willing to give back to you. Then number 7 is SAOK, which stands for small acts of kindness. And that's very similar to the point showing appreciation, right? What small acts of kindness is about is doing very little things for somebody else. And for no reason. The only reason why you're doing it is because you actually want to show a bit of kindness to another person. And it's a concept that's been really popular among companies and celebrities. I know Oprah Winfrey, actually if you go to her website, if you Google Oprah Winfrey small kinds of kindness, she has a whole page where I think she gives 20 ideas or 25 ideas of what you can do. And these include saying good morning to the person that you meet in the elevator, saying thank you, right? As I said, buying somebody a flower, giving them chocolate. If I saw one of you, being very tired, maybe I could grab a coffee and give it to you. And I don't expect anything in return, right? I really do it because I want to show you kind of act of kindness. So as I said, it's very similar to appreciation, but one thing about these 2 points that you guys need to keep in mind is that it has to be honest, okay? Because if it's dishonest, then you're just gonna burn yourself. So don't say things like, oh, I love what you're wearing, if you really hate the dress, right? Find something about this person that you can appreciate. And there's always something that you can appreciate. If you can't, well then try harder, because I assure you there is. Okay. And yes, another thing with the scarcity, it triggers reciprocity, which is yet another trigger from the book Influence. So if I do something kind to you, you'll be more willing to return the favor. And let's say for you guys, right, the return might be, okay, let's invest in my business or buy my product, sign up on my website, whatever it is that you want, right? But that definitely will help you. Okay, number 8 is to use stories. This is, if you guys go back in time, and if you guys remember when you were kids and you're reading the stories, right? And it was about princesses and knights and fighting dragons, didn't you feel like everything was possible and everything could happen?
Yeah.
How do you feel now? You're like, oh no, I can't do this. No, I have this and that to do. No, that will not work. So by using stories, you go back into the dream world of the other person, right? So forget about the reasons why you cannot do it, why you don't have time, why it will not work. Allow your dreams to take over. This is why stories are so powerful. But the key to use this tool effectively is to make the story about them. So imagine if I'm talking to you, right? And I want to give you a story. I want you to help imagine the idea I'm selling you with the story. I will make you the main character in the story, right? So for all the guys, if you're talking to guys, make them this, prince on a white horse that saves the day. If you're talking to a girl, make her feel like a princess, And really, how you do the stories, again, it's very simple. Like before we had this one phrase, you're free to choose. Again, here it's just one word that will do the magic, and it's called imagine. If you talk to somebody, start by saying imagine. It's one of the most powerful words. There are actually a few words that trigger certain behavior and associations in our brain, and imagine is one of them. So again, I'll talk to you and imagine that you live in that dream house of yours, that costs millions of dollars, and you have a beautiful view on the beach. You're 2 minutes away from the beach, right? And you go surfing every day. And guess what? You're so good at surfing because you're so athletic and so fit. I make you like a celebrity in the story. Wouldn't you want that? So that's how you want to use stories. And finally, and this is something I hope you guys will relate to, it's about talking to a higher self. Do you guys remember the Maslow's pyramids of different needs that we have? And on the very top, we have self-actualization. Every human being has a need to help and contribute to others. So especially if your idea is new, right, and you can't really offer that much. Like, you cannot really give anybody much coverage, or you cannot promise a lot of revenue and profit, right? What you want to do is to relate to their higher self, is to show them that by engaging in your project, they will actually be able to help somebody else. I'll give you an example. A while ago, I wanted to get on board as an affiliate for a really, really big guru in the internet marketing industry. But having my sub list of 100 plus, I knew I can't really promise you revenue. Like, you're probably going to get much more money from somebody else. And I know it will be a bit of a hassle for you to manage me, because you always manage every single affiliate that you have. So what did I do? I emailed them and I said like this: I believe that you can change the world by helping one person. For me, it's not about making thousands of dollars. For me, it's about helping people. And even if I have one person who buys your product, I know it's going to change their lives and it's going to help them live their dreams. That was my pitch. So in a way, I was telling them, hey guys, if you get me on board, yeah, I might not give you a lot of money, but I will help you change the lives of few more people. And that is always a success to me. And I got the email back in less than 24 hours. So we went through 9 tips, and this is just the summary of them. So if you want to feel another person important, and again, you always want to do it because it opens a very different relationship with them, and they're much more open to agree with you later, you can use authority, you show appreciation, you show benefits for them, you underline their freedom in the decision, you use their name, you use scarcity, you use small kinds of kindness, you use stories, and you relate to higher self. Now, I wanted you to take a piece of paper, which I think most of you guys have, or use your computers, and let's try to apply it to your idea, okay? So one thing first of all, that I wanted to say, there are actually 2 things. First of all, I do want you to write it down. So don't just think of it, write it down, because indeed, so scientists don't know why, but it seems from a lot of studies that if you write something down, you're more committed to it. Like saying, even like telling, in front of other people is not as strong for you as writing something down with your own hands. So do write it down. And the second thing is that we're just going to start now. Because, when you build an idea, right, you have an initial idea, you jot a lot of things down, but then you need to refine the idea. So what I want us to do now is to make a first step in the direction of knowing how to pitch your idea and your business. But I want you later to sleep, okay? And when you wake up tomorrow, I want you to do the same exercise again. Now, one thing, there's something magical about sleeping. Believe it or not, in your sleep, your full brain is being activated. The whole subconscious, the whole 90% of brain is activated. And when you go to sleep and you have a problem to solve, so imagine you're in your bed and you ask yourself a question: how do I pitch my business? And when you wake up, you're waking up with the answer. It's not going to be, written for you. It's not a paper on, next to your bed that will give you the idea. But when you wake up, you will feel like, you know what? I feel like I know how to do it. It's because you program your brain during the sleep to work on it. Your brain is always working for you. Even if you sleep, even if you rest, if you meditate, your brain is working for you. So I want you to activate it, okay? So today, because right now, guys, whatever we'll be doing, again, we're using only 10% of our brain. We'll be using our consciousness, okay? So again, then tomorrow, can you guys promise me that tomorrow you will do the same exercise again? Can I get your commitment, the public commitment that you will do it again? Yes. Hands up, hands up. Thank you. Okay, so now that you have a piece of paper, I hope you do, and a pen, let's apply it to your idea.